The spring mud has dried, the cover is thick, and the stage was set for Putin's final victory. But instead of a Russian triumph, the world is witnessing a total strategic liquidation. March 2026 didn't just break Russia's offensive, it may have just triggered the beginning of total collapse. What you're about to see is not a setback. It's the moment an entire war machine started to burn from the inside out. Stop! Because what happens next is where everything starts to collapse. While Putin orders massed infantry into a meat grinder that has reached a staggering 1.3 million casualties, Ukraine has unleashed a technological executioner strategy that is setting the Russian heartland ablaze. From the total erasure of Russia's only Iskander-chip plant to a $10 billion industrial inferno, paralyzing the energy sector, the inevitable Russian hammer blow has just collapsed into a humiliating tactical extinction event. What did Ukraine do to make this the deadliest month in modern history? And why is the Kremlin now fleeing to Siberia? Ukraine didn't just strike targets, it hunted the system itself. One by one, the pillars holding Russia's war together started collapsing, and no one in Moscow saw it coming. Strategic targets across Russia and occupied territories were struck with a ferocity and coordination that caught Moscow completely off guard. Imagine walking into work and finding nothing but fire, entire factories worth billions erased in seconds. Machines that once powered Russia's missile systems now twisted metal and smoke. And this is the moment Russia loses control. Start with the Kremniy El Plant in the Bryansk border region, in one of Russia's largest microelectronics facilities and the beating heart of its missile guidance systems. Ukrainian drones sliced through the night sky, evading what little air defense remained, and slammed directly into the main production building and the adjacent component warehouse. The explosions ripped through the complex, destroying the specialized equipment needed to manufacture microchips for Iskander ballistic missiles and advanced air defense systems. Production has been paralyzed for at least the next 6 months. Repair crews are already on site, but everyone knows the security service of Ukraine is watching, waiting for the moment the Russians begin to rebuild, before another wave of drones finishes the job for good. One strike, and an entire segment of Russia's missile supply chain has been severed. The punishment did not stop there. What you're about to hear shocked even military analysts. In Ulyanovsk, Ukrainian forces struck the Aviastar aircraft plant, obliterating a climate-controlled shelter and destroying several Il-76 and Il-78 heavy transport aircraft parked inside. These are the workhorses of Russian logistics, the planes that move troops, ammunition, and spare parts across the vast theater of war. Losing them has created immediate bottlenecks in supply lines stretching from Siberia to the front. At the same time, the strike crippled Russia's ability to maintain its aerial refueling tankers, further weakening Moscow's already struggling air power. The message was unmistakable. Even Russia's rear area infrastructure is no longer safe. Further north in Staraya Russa, the 123rd Aircraft Repair Plant took devastating hits. Drones rained down on hangars housing Il-76 transport's missile defense aircraft and vast stockpiles of anti-aircraft missiles. The fires burned for hours, destroying maintenance bays and critical spares. Russian logistics are now under even greater strain as the very aircraft that keep the war machine moving are grounded or reduced to scrap. In Alchevsk, the metallurgical plant erupted in a towering inferno after a precise Ukrainian strike. This facility produces artillery shell casings and the armored steel essential for tanks and armored vehicles. The blast sent flames hundreds of meters into the air, and the damage will take months to repair. Mechanized assaults that Russia desperately needs for its spring push have just lost a vital source of protection and firepower. And then there was Sevastopol. Ukrainian drones hammered the Granite Innovation Center, the only facility in Russian-occupied Crimea capable of repairing S-400 air defense systems. The strike was surgical and devastating. With that center now in ruins, Russia's most advanced long-range air defenses in the south are facing a maintenance crisis that will only grow worse with every new Ukrainian attack. The Kremlin is already scrambling. Roscosmos has announced it is relocating its Khimki facility near Moscow to distant Omsk in Siberia and Perm in the Ural Mountains. Officials call it an efficiency move. Everyone else calls it what it is: panic. Moscow is well within Ukrainian drone range, and the Kremlin knows it. Moving production hundreds of kilometers away is not strategy. It is flight. And then came the real Udar, the oil. This isn't just fuel, this is the lifeline of the entire war. And as refineries burned, the question became unavoidable. How long can a war survive without energy? In Afipsky and Albashy-Neft, two major diesel-producing refineries that feed the southern military group, were struck hard. The fires raged out of control, cutting fuel supplies to troops already struggling on the front. In Novorossiysk, Ukrainian drones devastated the Sheskery's oil terminal and launched a ferocious assault on Port Kavkaz critical hubs for Black Sea oil transport and naval resupply. Saratov, Kirishi, and Yaroslavl refineries were also hit, slashing production of aviation fuel and other vital petroleum products. The headline strikes, however, came at Primorsk and Ust-Luga on the Baltic. These ports handle a massive share of Russia's oil exports. Ukraine returned again and again, striking Ust-Luga on March 22nd, 25th, 27th, 29th, and 31st. By the end of the month, the terminal was still burning 7 days after the first attack. Thick black smoke visible for dozens of kilometers. Primorsk fared no better. At least 40% of its oil storage facilities have been destroyed forever. Russia's export capacity has been slashed by nearly half at the exact moment global oil prices have surged past $100 a barrel because of tensions elsewhere in the world. Instead of cashing in, Moscow is watching its economic lifeline go up in smoke. Refineries are now forced to store excess product because the export terminals are crippled, creating a deadly backlog that threatens to shut down even more facilities. This is not random damage. This is a calculated strangulation of Russia's war economy. Russia's shield, the systems meant to protect everything, started collapsing, one after another. And suddenly, the sky wasn't protection anymore. It was a wide open door. A dozen S-300 and S-400 long-range systems were wiped out, along with 10 medium and short-range units, including Tor Panzer S-1 Tunguska and Buk variants. These systems were supposed to shield the rear areas from exactly the kind of drone campaign Ukraine has now perfected. Instead, they became targets themselves. The irony is as bitter as it is complete. And remember the Granite Center in Crimea, the only place capable of repairing S-400s, is now rubble. Ukraine's systematic degradation of Russian air defenses has opened the skies for every other strike we have described. Analysis of over 1,500 verified Ukrainian attacks between June 2025 and March 2026 shows nearly 500 targeted air defense infrastructure, alone with hundreds more hitting electronic warfare and command nodes. The result is visible in every burning refinery and shattered factory. Meanwhile, Ukraine's own air defenses have reached new heights. Efficiency has climbed 9.7 percentage points in just 4 months, is now sitting at an impressive 89.9% and aiming for 95% through a mix of Western systems and homegrown interceptor drones. While Russia's skies are wide open to Ukrainian strikes, Ukraine is getting better and better at protecting its own cities and forces, and yet the worst was still to come on the ground. For the first time in 2.5 years, Russia achieved precisely 0 net territorial gains in March, despite launching more assaults than at any other point in 2026. Ukrainian forces actually recaptured 9 square kilometers of their own soil. The spring offensive that was meant to sweep through Donbas in the south has instead ground to a bloody halt. Communication breakdowns, the loss of Starlink, and Putin's clumsy crackdown on Telegram have left Russian units stumbling forward without coordination. Columns of tanks rolled forward and vanished within minutes. Cheap drones diving straight into steel. Explosions tearing through entire units before they even understood what hit them. This wasn't combat anymore, it was systematic destruction. Infantry that survived the initial drone onslaught were cut down by well-sighted machine guns and artillery. The battlefield was littered with burning wrecks, and the bodies of soldiers sent into the meat grinder with no realistic chance of success. The numbers are almost impossible to process. Over 1.3 million casualties. In a single day, 1,710 lives gone. And the most disturbing part, it's still accelerating. March contributed heavily to that grim milestone. Between January and March, confirmed losses reached 89,000, with the true number likely well over 100,000. Recruitment managed only 80,000 new volunteers in the same period, far short of the 409,000 target for the year. Putin is quite literally running out of men, while his factories and fuel depots burn. So how has the Kremlin responded to this disaster? With the same arrogance and disconnection that has defined the entire war. On March 31st, Russian officials demanded that Ukraine withdraw all forces from Donbas within 2 months, or face even greater horror. Dmitry Peskov repeated the ultimatum, claiming it would spare Ukrainian troops. The sheer absurdity is breathtaking. After the worst month of the war, after losing air defenses, oil terminals, aircraft factories, and thousands of soldiers, Putin's regime still believes it can dictate terms from a position of strength. It is not strength. It is desperation dressed up as bravado. The march from hell is over, but the nightmare for Russia is only beginning. Factories are silent, ports are on fire, air, defenses are shattered, and the ground offensive has collapsed before it even truly started. Ukraine is striking deeper, defending smarter, and fighting with a clarity of purpose that the Kremlin can no longer match. Experts watching this war closely are calling it a turning point, the moment the momentum shifted decisively against the aggressor. The Russian narrative of inevitable victory has been reduced to ashes along with its oil terminals. What do you think, listeners? Has Ukraine's brilliant deep strike campaign and heroic ground defense finally broken the back of Putin's invasion, or does Russia still have one last desperate card to play? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. We read every single one. If you want to stay ahead of every dramatic twist in this war, smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the community that refuses to look away. The battles are intensifying, the stakes are rising, and we will be here for every single development. Stay safe, stay informed, and we will see you in the next update. Disclaimer: this video contains content generated or supported in whole or in part by artificial intelligence. This material is intended solely for simulation, illustration, and entertainment purposes. It does not represent real-world events, nor does it constitute political or military advice or verified information. Certain elements may be fictional, dramatized, or inaccurate. Viewers should not rely on this video as a credible source of information or as a basis for real-world decision-making.